It's time for That Davis Show. We are back. I am your host, Kenneth Davis. Make sure you follow me at That's Davis. And of course, executive producer of the show is Ryan Bukovetsky. Follow him at Ryan Beesky and Ryan Beesky1 on the Instagram to take in all of Ryan's sexy. All right. All
He's
of
got
it.
any.
All of it. He says after this, he's going to do squats just to let you know what he's trying to bring to the table, ladies. All right. And perhaps gentlemen, but ladies. Just
Eyes
what he's
for the guys.
Oh man. Listen, we got a lot to jump into today. We definitely going to be hard on the finals. We're definitely going to talk some Bears with training camp like about half a week away. And of course, I was lucky enough to interview Matt Nagy last week. It dropped this past Monday. So we're definitely going to go over that a tad bit. But let's start and go off top.
Off top.
Take it from the top, the tippy. Oh, my people. All right, my off top for today is basically what the hell is going on over at ESPN. So last week we had the Nichols situation. All right, the Rachel Nichols situation. The host of The Jump, of the NBA The Jump, and her talking to an advisor of LeBron about Maria Taylor and saying that basically Maria Taylor got her job due to her race and the fact that ESPN is messed up when it comes to inclusion, and she felt that they gave Maria Taylor her job just because ESPN has a bad record when it comes to inclusion. So that was one thing, and she didn't give a great apology, and she's been out and about doing her thing. They took her away from the finals. All right, but then the flip side this week, and this one burnt my side, is you had Stephen A. Smith on First Take say that Shohei Ohtani could not be the face of the MLB. Now, when I first saw this, I just turned it off like this is ignorance and foolishness and just bloviating to say the least. Then it got hot. And initially he came out and kind of tried to explain why he said what he said, but didn't necessarily retract it. Then the next day he gave a full mea culpa and said that he was wrong and he realized that he hurt people. I'm not the Stephen A. is a coon guy, and you got to be careful using that word too. All right, I'm not that guy. I believe he's a capitalist. I'll say that much for that brother. But sometimes I get leery of him taking up the role of the oppressor, and I mean like the get off my lawn BS. To say that Shohei Ohtani could not be the face of the MLB for me is ridiculous. And I'll tell you why. Ryan, if you played Mike Trout's voice right now and told me to name that person, let alone athlete, I would not be able to tell you that was Mike Trout. All right. Outside of a Subway commercial, I've rarely heard Mike Trout say anything as being the best player of this last generation. All right. Even
and when was that Subway commercial?
4 or 5 years ago. Right. Rob Manfred is still like Mike Trout could do more. Right. Listen, when that Gatorade commercial came out, I don't know if it's G4's the drink, and they had he whose name should not be spoken on this show because he was traded for James Shields, and of course you know that I mean Fernando Tatis Jr. When I first saw that commercial, I was like, I think that's Fernando Tatis Jr. just because I knew that he had colorful dreads, but I didn't initially definitely know that that was him. All right, just in general, because sometimes, especially with baseball players, you may not, if they're not in your market, even if they're huge stars, you may not see them that often. You know what I'm saying? Or you may just see a glimpse of them, whatever they have on a helmet or whatever. The point that I'm trying to get to is baseball's in a situation where it needs exposure in general. And when you have a generational player, regardless of what he has to say, all he has to say is hold up a beverage and drink, right? And I'm sure Shohei Ohtani has some words in English because he doesn't have to say that. His interpreter could say it, and you could put it at the bottom. I really wouldn't give a damn. You know, like just to sit there and categorically say something like that. All right. If you want to say that there may be some marketing hindrances as far as some companies, and I don't know how many of those companies are, that some companies may not want him to be their spokesperson because he can't speak English. Maybe you have something to stand on, and that's still a maybe, because I mean you still could sell units and units and units to people over in Pacific, you know, over the Ring of Fire, whatever. I'm just messing up. You get what I'm trying to say? All right. So for him to sit there and jump out the window and say that, and then have to run it back, and I'll say this too. And again, I'm not a Stephen A. Smith hater. There sometimes is nothing better than when he has to run it back, because he's so kind to Max for like the rest of that week, damn near. It's so understanding. He was on there talking about let's not call people Robins. And I think he was right when he said this today. Let's not call people Robins, because he feels like that's the reason that Scottie Pippen jumped out the window the last couple of weeks, because unlike Kevin McHale, unlike Magic and Kareem, so on and so forth, back in the days, you didn't have someone, Dr. J and Moses Malone, you didn't have someone say that's Batman and that's Robin. You know what I'm saying? So that being heaped on Scottie is the reason that Scottie feels a certain kind of way, even though he's one of the 50th greatest players ever. But still, I love when he has to be contrite and he's kind, you know what I'm saying, instead of just heat, because I'm going to tell you why. Heat is what gets you out in that situation that got his ass in trouble. All right, when you're just sitting there and you hot take. And that's part of the reason why that a show that you have to take opposite opinions is always something that I would not want to necessarily participate in. You know, I'm like, I want to be able to state how I feel generally. You know, I can sit there and express why someone may have a difference of opinion, and I think I can explain that well, but I would hate to have to say that an opinion that is not mine is genuinely my opinion. But again, that was just looking at ESPN the last couple of weeks and just the foolishness that is taking place over race. All right, especially after what took place last year and how they used it. All right, they jumped on the George Floyd bandwagon and just used it as a ratings monster. You know what I'm saying? It's just I get tired of being triggered, and I wasn't triggered. I was tired. You know, it's like I really turned it off, the stuff with him, because when he first did it, I was like, nah, dude. But then when I saw he was apologizing for it, I was like, see, you shouldn't have done that. But then even going back to Rachel Nichols, and she didn't even make the apology to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith at least was like, I know my bread is butter. She was like, I know where the privilege lies. But yeah, that's my off top, a little something spicy from the four-letter network with what's going on over there. Listen, I mean, we all put our foot in our mouths at times, but one, you need to know the mics is hot at all times, and that's for Rachel Nichols, right, and Stephen A. Smith, stuff like that, man. Just you don't. It's a brother. I mean, it's just no need for you jumping out of that window talking about that someone from another country, just because they don't speak perfect English, that has that amount of talent that we've never seen in our lifetime.
Right. Two-way player since like Babe Ruth.
Exactly. He can't necessarily be the face of the MLB. Like, I don't. Who's listening to, like, dude, how many MLB players do we see regularly chatting it up on television, to be honest with, that are playing, not former players, that are actually playing, that you can tell me, like, dog, when's the last time we got, for instance, just let's go on the north side. When's the last time you saw a Chris Bryant commercial?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about that. Maybe men's, like the Men's Warehouse. I think he did that for a little bit. That was about it years ago.
Okay, I mentioned the beverage with Tatis Jr. I mean, how many other? Probably like when the video game was coming out, the show. But how many other baseball?
And to your point, how many more football players who wear helmets are in commercials than baseball players when you see their face all the time?
All the time, and you know their voices. If you play Patrick Mahomes' voice, I would know it was his voice, Tom Brady's voice, Aaron Rodgers' voice. I can probably go about 30 deep football players that I may be able to pick out whose voice that is compared to MLB players. And you're telling me that this guy that can't speak English, he couldn't be the face when we don't hear any of these guys talk in the first place.
Did Stephen A. He's an NBA analyst, right? Did he not cover Yao Ming? Remember Yao Ming coming in here, became a national sensation, maybe not at first, but definitely once that stardom started rising at all, you were seeing him all over TV all the time. Even when he retired early, you were seeing him all the time after his early retirement.
Dude, just that smoke was illegitimate smoke right there. But that was my off top. It's just It's ridiculous. Especially, this is the crazy part. So it's funny that, I mean, it's centered around the finals. So, of course, with the Rachel Nichols and Maria Taylor situation, Maria Taylor basically didn't want to have to do any crosstalk with her when it comes to doing any interviews. So, and then on top of that, after Rachel did that, they just pulled her off for the finals in general, right? Which I would, if Rachel had it in her contract that she was supposed to do the finals, I understand her saying, "Hey, I was supposed to get that gig." It's the racial insensitive part that kind of that caught her ass, right? But she's pulled off to the final, so you don't see her. You see Malika Andrews doing the interaction. But this is the crazy part, and I just noticed this the other night. Now, you've been seeing Wilbon and Stephen A. Smith. You've been seeing their reactions to different plays, all that, them coming on. Now it's just Wilbon, right? And it's just like, because it's like, get that heat. We don't even need that around the finals. And this wasn't even about basketball. This was about baseball, right? Like you got kicked off the finals again, talking baseball and talking wrong about baseball. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and adamant. That's the crazy part. Right. Adamant about you can't be because you don't speak. Like, bruh, I know
this most international game that we have in America, basically.
With basketball, but dude, I know
up there, right? It's basketball.
It's number two. It's number two. It's number two. I know this land is your land. This is my land. But bruh, calm down. Calm yourself down a little bit.
Right. This dude throws 100, and 100 goes off as bad every day. Like maybe he could actually be.
Maybe it could. Yeah. Come on, dude. Good looking, well built. You know what I'm saying?
Young.
Like
he's not like some old dude that just found it at 35 and only has a couple years left.
Seems fun, you know what I'm saying? Like it just that to me. I mean, when I never even thought about it until he said that. But when he said it, it was like, what are you, dude? I'll be honest with you. He doesn't have to. I'm not saying the show he has to learn. All he has to do is learn 3 words, damn near, and also we act like he doesn't know. Don't play yourself. Listen, that's like this is another one too. One of my favorite players, everyday players, was Ichiro, right?
Right, I love Ichiro.
And if Ichiro would have been a Yankee instead of a Mariner, but the Pacific Ring is what I meant to say earlier. If it clearly, just like Shohei, just like Ichiro, they all prefer to stay around the Pacific Ring because one, there's more Asian people there, and also it's easier for the people at home to see them
and their travel if they ever want to go back to Japan.
Exactly. But Ichiro, if Ichiro was a Yankee, he would have. He was one of the faces of baseball, but he was playing in the Northwest Coast where we don't know. We're asleep for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like
the Mariners have only been relevant with 2 players, Griffey Jr. and Ichiro,
and some A-Rod. But yeah, and the big unit. But still, for you to say that is preposterous. And then I want to focus on Ichiro. Ichiro decided not to speak English because he was just keeping it a buck for his home team, right? If you don't think Ichiro could speak English, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're out of your mind, all right? How intelligent. He's been around here that long, but one, out of perhaps being comfortable, but also just, I left y'all, but I'm still keeping, this is just my opinion. I'm still one of y'all, right? I'm not going to give them everything, right? I'm not just going to come here and just whitewash myself too. Right. And I could be wrong, but I always looked at it with how intelligent Ichiro was, that was a decision he made to keep a connection to home. That's what I always, and again, I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. But to say that these intelligent gentlemen can't, and as much Americana that's around the world don't know a few words, and all you have to do is put together several for these damn commercials, if that. But he wouldn't have to do that. You could have an interpreter easily do it, and just because it's Shohei, we'll buy whatever it is, depending on whatever it is, or how funny the damn commercial is, or just how intriguing it is.
Have you seen that Google Pixel commercial where the dad is deaf and talks to his son?
Yes, and he's like, "This is the first time."
Right.
Great point.
You can't do like a Google Translate Pixel with Shohei Ohtani, make millions of dollars, and everybody like, "Oh, look at that."
Yeah, and then he takes a slight jab at Stephen A. Smith at the end of it.
Like it's American name, Stephen A. Smith. Block.
Right. All right. Enough of that negativity getting all of our attention at the top of the show. Listen, the NBA's finals are taking place. It's tied up right now. It is 2-2. Both teams have won at home. Giannis snap or Chris Middleton snap. You actually had a game last night, and I mentioned this game. I don't know if I mentioned on here, Sean and Maya, but the Jordan Barkley game when they both scored 42 points was the last time that two players in the finals threw 42 points down. The time before that, I didn't know this until today, was John Havlicek of the Celtics and Jerry West of the Lakers back in the early 70s was the last time that two players, opposing players, yes, I'm right with that. After that was Shaq and AI in game one between the Jordan one and this one that took place last night is what I should say, or whatever. Listen, Milwaukee needed it. You know how we feel about Milwaukee. They
needed it so bad that they threw down some money to the refs, apparently.
Well, I think for me, both teams, you brought it up earlier on the phone call, our pre-show phone call, that the refereeing was bad. The fact that clearly Devin Booker should have fouled out. I mean, Devin Booker,
I died laughing.
He humped him. He basically humped on him for a second, right? And they were like, all ball. I was like, what ball are you talking about?
But he says to him, like, he's intentionally giving himself up, and then you see the replay, like he's actually doing an intentional foul and it doesn't get called. I died laughing. Like, that was a comedy show at that point.
But see, that's always been a big problem with the NBA, though. And that's why I'm surprised you don't hear it as much. Some of those people have just turned off the NBA, but it's always been an issue why people just really don't trust the referee when it comes to the NBA for situations like that. And we know other leagues do it, but it's so much easier in that small setting. No pads, you know what I'm saying? Nothing on, right. Just 5-on-5 instead of 11-over-11. You know what I'm saying? It's so much easier. Like, you can't see offensive linemen getting held on every play. I mean, defensive linemen, I should say, getting held on every play. You know what I'm saying? You can't really, because the camera zooms away or whatever, but it's so much easier to see it in the NBA. The refereeing was bad. Giannis snapped with that block. But listen, Chris Middleton has to do this in Phoenix as they return to Phoenix for Game 5. He snapped. I mean, this is a guy still, and I'm not saying this, he's a damn good number two. A number two that at times can insert himself as the number one, also as the finisher, because usually you're going to have somebody that can handle the ball with some finesse necessarily to be able to either get to the cup or get their shot off whenever. But definitely is a lot better than what we were saying last year when they needed him to be a number three and they needed another number. They needed a real number two. He has exceeded that clearly. And definitely shout out to him for working his ass off. Shout out to Rob Schaefer over at NBC Sports. He's a big Chris Middleton fan. Looking at what Drew Holiday is doing to CP3 on the defensive side with wearing him down, CP3's numbers have gone down, and you have to worry if he's wearing out now, playing this deep. We also have to remember Chris Paul's never played this deep in the playoffs ever in his career. And usually he would have gotten hurt. He actually did get hurt, and he persevered through that with the shoulder injury from the Lakers series.
And the hand injury that he's dealing with now.
Right. If they need a game from him, because, I mean, clearly, if he had a game yesterday, they probably win yesterday if he had a game with what Book did. Book went Mambo on that ass basically yesterday. And you love how it's and I think it's the Mamba part of it. It's something so attractive about his mid-range game. When he gets that elbow, it's just like quit. When he gets to the elbow, it's just like, you defender, you may, I don't know, and not to say you can stop him, but why'd you let him get here? All right, somebody should have came and did a dive right there, defender, just to scare his ass off. When he hits that elbow, it's a done dilly, to say the least. I've enjoyed this finals. It's good to see two small market teams. It's good to see all the fans up in Milwaukee. Actually, I have to take a trip to Milwaukee.
Both arenas are crazy loud.
Right. That's what I was about to say. I have to take a trip to Milwaukee for a Brewers game next Friday. But the weird part is that from the first game, that fan from Phoenix that was like turned like this and was like, he was just like drift. Like, he was so high and feeling the vibes. Like, the vibes had to feel so good. I was like, damn, the vibes are because the vibrations were just hitting his ass, to say the least. He was feeling the vibes. And then all of those damn fans at the Bucks Deer District, 25,000 people. Dude, I mean, It depends on how old I am if I'm coming out there for that. Not at this age. I don't feel like I'm stepping out just to stand outside of the stadium.
You
know
fear
what I'm
the
saying?
deer, literally.
It's not even. That's just like I mean, I may pass through, but like a full commitment to be out there, nah, dude. I'll pass. I'll find a bar or something like that, or I just be at home. But it's dope. It's the same thing you saw in Jurassic Park in Toronto. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's good to see so many people captivated by the NBA. Because unlike the refereeing last night, the product is good, but it always just has those issues that just pop out on your ass where it's just like, damn, what the hell? And I mean, I guess the question now will kind of be, what do you expect to happen in this 3-game playoff? Listen, I don't know, to be honest with you.
You know what? I don't know. My big things. Drew Holiday is on a milk carton somewhere, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Like, that dude, where is he? He can't hit nothing other than a decent game 3. Everything else has been, where's Drew Holiday on the offensive end? And I loved the adjustment Milwaukee made doing the pick and roll with Middleton and Giannis. I felt like they didn't go to it enough, though, when they had that advantage, and especially late. They went away from it early, which goes back to my guy, Coach Bud. Man, I just feel like I was listening to Mark Jackson, and I just wanted him to just slide on over to the Bucks end and just start coaching away, because I was totally agreeing. Like, trap a guy. Can you trap a Devin Booker and get it out of his hands and force somebody else to beat you? And I love that play by Giannis. That was the immaculate block in that game. But how about a defensive adjustment, maybe putting Giannis in like a LeBron mode where we are going to go really strong side with our other defenders, and we're going to have Giannis cover more ground on the weak side, and he'll rotate and cover whatever we need there, and let's really trap the ball on the strong side. Like, I don't understand at all what Milwaukee's doing at times with their adjustments in games. And Monty Williams is just back and forth, seemingly always has the answer. That game, like you said, they would have won had Devin Booker not gotten in foul trouble, had Chris Paul not made a couple bad turnovers, and it had not for Giannis made that incredible defensive play. It took all of that for Milwaukee just to get by.
That's why I'm not here saying that I think the Bucks are going to win this. Because to be honest with you, the Phoenix Suns offense scares the living bejesus out of me as somebody that's slightly rooting more for Milwaukee than the Suns.
Yes.
They can just pour it on. You know, like it's just when it's on, you know, and Milwaukee still can get stagnant. They're still like, listen, Chris Middleton had to drop 40 on that ass. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I mean, that it compared to someone like Devin Booker, you're not expecting that from Chris Middleton. You know what I'm saying? It's great that he can do it. But yeah, Milwaukee's offense still scares me. Another thing I thought about you, and this was the game before last with all the threes that Jay Crowder's been dropping. And he was just, and I was telling Jay Crowder, you can't leave Jay Crowder open, man. Jay Crowder knock your ass out. All right, but again, Monty Williams messed up too, and he admitted it when he said that he took out Cameron too early. That he should have left him in there a bit longer instead of going to Mikal Bridges. But still, again, it's definitely been a great finals. I hope Chris Paul. And again, I slightly want Giannis to win more, even though I want it more for Chris Paul. I just feel that I'm not a person that feels like this will make or break Chris Paul's legacy. Chris Paul making it to the finals has exceeded what we would expect him going to Phoenix. But while Giannis is still in the building mode of his legacy, I think it's cool for him to get a title after winning 2 MVPs. Because usually if you're going to end up like Steve Nash, and I'm not trying to knock Steve Nash, but there's a hole in his career from winning MVPs, especially MVPs that some people feel like belong to some other players, or at least one that belongs to another. Right. And you don't have a title, you know what I'm saying? Or you didn't even make a finals, you know, and I don't want that for Giannis's legacy. So that's why,
especially when Steve Nash might be the one knocking him out next year.
Right. But so that's why I slightly root more, even though I would love that cherry on top for Chris Paul. But I want Chris Paul to finish this out strong too. You know, I don't want this to be another mess. Chris Paul. I mean, again, now we thought he was too old. Now you're saying that he's not doing enough. Which way are you going to have it? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to this young team. No one expected for them to do this year. You know what I'm saying? Let alone what they may be able to do next year if he stays healthy with what these youngsters have gleamed off of him. The professionalism, the hunger, the desire, the excellent basketball IQ. Also, too, and I love Chris Paul, but we got to stop calling him point guard though. Like, if you're not gonna get that to Magic or Zeke, I don't think that we should be giving that to anybody else. If we're gonna run like that, that's just when we're saying that. It's just as far it's just funny how. Just because he made it, I don't know he's been called that, but people have really been latching onto it even more. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this finals. I'll say this much, though. If Giannis keeps playing the way that he's playing, I don't think that the Suns are going to be able to beat. Like, Giannis is playing like a man-driven. Giannis is like that's another reason why I slightly root more. Because a player as great as Giannis is, but somewhat still has some limits to his abilities, he's given every ounce of what he has to pull and drag that team, because he doesn't look at this like I have another opportunity to get there. This is my opportunity to get there. And as him ascending into, he's been great, but into more rare air, I want it for him. And I hate that I want it for him, because I would love for Chris Paul to get it, but I'm rooting for the Bucks. I'm not saying the Bucks are going to win it all, because, man, that offense of the Phoenix Suns can get scary, especially for a team like the Bucks. At
home too.
Exact. Great point. Great point. So we'll see. Game 5 coming up. We've get another game in Milwaukee, so the Deer District will be open. As long as it's not
I'm so
raining
happy it's 2-2, just so that this series looks just competitive all the way through. I need at least 6, but I'm really hoping for 7.
Well, I mean, you're getting 6 regardless.
But I'm saying before the game, we didn't know if we were getting 6, and especially with 9-point lead and it looked like the Suns were pulling away, it didn't look like we were getting 6.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And I kept thinking of you, like. I think you were right. I don't think the Suns. I think the Suns would have taken one game had it not been for some crazy, like even the trap at the end when they just call foul, thinking that Chris Paul and Cam Johnson are trapping. I forgot who had the ball. I think it was Middleton, and they just call foul right away when they had him in perfect trap mode. Like it took every bit of Devin Booker getting all these fouls. It took every bit of just the Suns not having enough for the Bucks to win that game. Like I was really thinking Ken nailed it. They weren't going to win both. And even though they did, they won by the skin of their teeth. Like the skinniest of skins. Oh my gosh. If you're a Bucks fan, you were celebrating, but you weren't feeling good about the next 3 games.
I mean, but you know what? I miss that. It's funny you say that. I miss my team. And I grew up, they used to win those a lot, even though Detroit used to knock them out when I was first getting acclimated to basketball. But and then they were winning them. I remember a couple Game 7s, never in the finals, a couple of Game 7s with the Knicks and with the Pacers, not the same year, that, man, I was scared for the Bulls back in the Jordan Pippen era. And then the era with the Rose era, when they actually would lose in those situations because they didn't have enough. But I miss playing. I miss my team playing playoff contending basketball.
Me too.
Even with the heartbreak, it's nothing like it. Because then you go to the offseason and be like, what can my team tinker to do to get better? You know what I'm saying? Just in those situations. Like, even when we knew the summer of Carmelo coming here wouldn't really make us a champion, but we still was like, it's something to tinker. It gives us a chance that, we're not even there. And I mean, that was D Rose after the injury. That was Joe being a little bit older. That was Jimmy ascending. You know what I'm saying? But I really miss that. And I envy those fans, like you just said, those Bucks fans that just from the snatching that defeat, just snatching away that defeat the way that they did. It's exhilarating to be a fan and to have those times in your life. And I think that's something that we don't think about with our fandom, is that these are little marks in our lives that, I remember my team did this, I remember this team did that, and I miss my team not doing something like that or being involved in situations like that.
And especially, I think, with this situation, seeing your best two players like develop in the playoffs, like seeing Middleton last year in the bubble, how he grew and how well he played, and now we just expect clutchness out of him, especially in an elimination game for the Bucks. And to see Giannis just making that block, they're playing a two-man game. Like, if I was a Bucks fan, it's not just snatching the
victory from the jaws of defeat.
Exactly.
That's what I was
also
trying to say.
My best two players are just getting it done. My future.
Well, you're present. Really, you're present.
You're right. The future is a gift.
Yeah, one of them's the future. But I mean, it's funny. I was watching something, and Chris Middleton was being interviewed, and I don't know if it was Rachel Nichols or not who was interviewing him, but they said that Giannis said that his most fearful day is when Chris Middleton hangs it up, and it just hits you that they're not the same age. You know what I'm saying? Like, so Giannis is still part of the future. Not saying Chris Middleton isn't part of the next few years, but yeah, just man. Again, shout out. I'm enjoying the finals. I hope everybody's enjoying the finals. But still, talking a little basketball. Right before the finals, I really enjoyed watching the WNBA All Star game with the WNBA All Stars going up against the USA team. Team USA came out wet. All right, dude. They came out dropping bombs. I stopped looking at that game. My TV, my DVR jumped. I swear Team USA was beating the WNBA All Stars for about 9 points. And it was like maybe 16-17 8 or something, right? And my TV jumped and I rewound it back and they were tied. And I was like, wait, what the hell just happened, basically, right? And I knew that I had to watch the final, so I didn't want to keep going back or whatever. But I did see the majority of that game. Listen, I was definitely rooting for the WNBA All Stars because they had, of course, Candace Parker there, who has the cover of 2K upcoming. So shout out to the hometown girl. Even she's from Naperville, she's from the hometown of Chicagoland. All right, we're taking her. You had
I would take her if I got the shot.
Right. You had one of my boos that came out with Sabrina Ionescu. I think she was like the second or third pick out of Oregon last year. She was on the All-Star team, and I usually when I was watching after when they was calling them out, I was like, "Ooh, why you see this?" You may think it's for a basketball playing, which it is, but this one, she's close to my heart.
A little extra on top.
It's a little bit extra. They had this young lady, I forget her name, who I saw her interview earlier in the day, and she got 6 men a year. She's leader for the MVP. I can't remember her name. She's like third in scoring or first or second in rebounding. She was out there giving Brittany Griner the business. Brittany Griner is still too big for those girls, right? And she's even bigger now, and I mean in a positive sense. Like her legs are even more massive watching Brittany Griner, but she was out there giving her some business. It was just a good game. You had Arike, let me make sure I pronounce her name correctly. Arike Ogunbowale won the MVP. She was burning it up. It was just a really entertaining game. It was probably the best team that the USA team is going to facing these All-Stars. If you didn't see it, I will go back and watch it. The WNBA still has a nice product if you haven't been checking it out. But definitely, this was a great All-Star game, and it was good to see the WNBA All-Stars take out Team USA, especially because a decent amount of them, if they could, depending on what their national, depending on what nation they're from. Before I sit here and stammer and stutter, perhaps could hold them back, or just because they're older, so they didn't want to bring them along. Even though they brought on the GOAT, you sit there, you have Taurasi, who didn't play last night, and you have Sue Bird, the two UConn former teammates that are going for their fifth gold medals.
I wonder why.
But yeah,
Is
it was
Gino
definitely
on the coaching staff? Oh, that makes sense.
it was definitely a good game. I look forward to watching them in the Olympics, and I feel sorry for USA's men's basketball team with what happened with Brad Bill getting put in COVID protocols, and he's not going to be playing, and the team needed everybody that they can get on the team. You're going to perhaps get a tired Devin Booker and a Chris Middleton and perhaps Jrue Holiday if they all three go after the finals.
You
But
better hold that for up for grabs later.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. But even still sticking
Don't tease it out too much, my friend.
Just give you a little thought, take it back. That wasn't the
give
only
you that thigh, but you can't show the cooch.
Okay. Whoa. Not on here. That
Isn't
wasn't
that
the only
unisex?
The what?
Never mind.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so happy you stopped. Thank you. Because I was like, you shouldn't even have asked him, Kenneth. Let's leave it there. But listen, that wasn't the only All-Star game to take place this week. All right, Tuesday, we had the MLB All Star game after another spectacular home run derby. Pete Alonso, I guess you the man when it comes to power hitting, bro. All right, like
a polar bear.
Hats off, polar bear. You claim it, and you went out and you did it. Even though that was a nice sudden death between Shohei and Sato. That was pretty dope. I definitely enjoyed it. My man Tim Anderson didn't get out there and do his dizzle. Liam
got to the batting box though.
Right, Liam Hendricks did close the game out. Lance Lynn had a nice inning out there, put in some good work. What about the guys on your side of town? How do you feel like they fared in the All-Star game?
I mean, Craig was fine and cool in there. Chris Bryant had a couple opportunities. Maybe could have stole MVP if he had gotten a couple base hits. I believe he came up twice with the bases loaded and was unable to come through. But one of them was a great defensive play by, I believe, Jared Walsh out in the outfield. Took a double away. I thought they did fine. I don't know. It just, for me, boy, ever since that tie in the All-Star game, it's never been the same for me. I don't know why. Something about just like they wanted to make it serious. Now it's not serious. And it just, baseball with the All-Star game used to be just such a significant thing because no one had television. You would just read about players across the country. And this
you didn't have interleague play.
Exactly. And now it's kind of just like.
So you want them to go back to whoever wins the All-Star game gets home?
No. I wouldn't mind them trying to maybe put a large sum of money that they really play hard for, something like that, but definitely not. That's too extreme, especially since apparently the AL can't lose.
I was about to say, I was like, for me personally, I'm like, it's cool with me because the AL keeps winning. All right, you guys may get one every once in a while, but clearly it's going to help my team out more than it's going to help your team out. So
I remember what was it, around 2010 that I saw how dominant the AL has been, and it's like, boy, nothing's ever going to change on that front, apparently.
The crazy part is, like, it would be like 20 years, but the National League won it like 3 times to break it up to where like that early aughts doesn't count like it would. Like the last 8 years count, but if you really look at it, like National League's only won it like 3 times in like the last 20 years. I may be missing a time or two. You know what I'm saying? But also,
they don't even deserve that time or two.
You're right. But also, when it's time for the All-Star game and MLB, it's also always time for trade deadline. You sat there. We had a trade that went out today.
Yes,
here
we
on
did.
The north side.
Selling beginning.
Yeah, go ahead. Let everybody know.
They traded away Jock Peterson. I'm blanking on the prospect. Bryce, first baseman from the Braves. I got it for you. Apparently, Bryce Ball, power hitter. Not much of a contact guy. It's perfect Cubs MO. But we know how the Cubs love their power hitting first baseman. But he seems like a decent prospect. He was a 24th round pick for the Braves in 2019, and he's risen his way through the minors. So it's probably not some major prospect, but you throw that in with the San Diego kids from the Yu Darvish trade and some more kids that are more than likely coming for future deals that are coming. I mean, you got to at least trade Craig Kimbrell and try to make whatever you can there. It's a good at least indication that the Cubs aren't seeing something differently than we're seeing. So that was my main part of that one.
And on the South side, I mean, we saw in the home run derby, Trevor Story, Frazier from Pittsburgh. Definitely, probably you want to get a left-hander in the bullpen. Any and all of those. I drift back and forth of thinking if this is the year for the Sox, and the Sox, even though they've been bum beaters. They keep saying that they're not giving in this year, and I'm not going to give in. With Eloy being back in basically a couple of weeks, and then who knows how long it is before Lubob returns. Man, I'm all in. Let's go get it. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you an Andrew Vaughn, you know what I'm saying, depending on what I got to get. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's Escobar to second, but definitely it's time to make a move. And also, you don't even know how Nick Magical may come back next year anyway, depending on if they're going to go for 1 year rental or a guy that maybe has one more year on his contract or a controllable year. But I'm in it,
how
man.
come the Sox didn't have like a Bryce Ball to give to the Cubs for Jack Peterson? And go full circle with this.
I don't think the Cubs want to deal with the Sox right now. I don't think
It's Jet's chance for revenge.
He keeps calling them up with trash, like, I'll get
Who's
you,
your
Rick
hottest
Hahn.
prospect? I'll give you Jack Peterson for him. I hear you got Jimenez over there, or some Cuban prospect that everybody wants. I got a guy for you, Jack Peterson. Don't you have a Cespedes or two Cespedeses?
Cespedes!
Excuse me, Cespedes.
I was on Sean and Maya this week, Monday, with Josh Nelson from Sox Machine. And he was like our Cespedes, that basically he's a power guy that doesn't make a lot of contact, and he shouldn't basically be an untouchable. So if we got to move our Cespedes, the half brother, go ahead, man. Let it be. Let it come back to haunt us in the future. But let it, and then we'll be like, well, we didn't know, right? We thought he was just gonna be lesser than his brother was. I mean, but still.
Now it makes sense. Jed is holding on. He wants the Cespedes. He wants the Cuban, and I'll give you Chris Bryant for that one.
Y'all know y'all want these Cubans, boy.
Yeah. Right.
Cubans are like we're playing full Monty.
Maybe we just need Jose Abreu, and then we can get it done.
For what? I give you Jose Abreu for Chris Bryant, even though I couldn't. He's the hardest soul of the team.
Yeah, and apparently the bridge to Cuba from America.
Listen, what if that was it? We give you Jose Abreu, and you get all the Cuban defectors moving forward, basically.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Give me him.
The soul of Minnie Minosa still comes through and helps us, even though he's not dead.
Shout out to the Cuban Ohtani. Give me him. Take him.
Stephen A. Smith says he can't be the face of MLB.
Right. If only he spoke Spanish, then he could be. Damn Japanese, not this time.
Oh man. So, all right. Switching over in a couple of weeks, we got Bears training camp, and that means on this show and other shows is going to be really, really packed tight. But more Bears.
Yeah, do we have the Justin Fields report ready for every single day about to happen?
He was drinking a sip of water. We did a Bears mailbag on Under Center today. And one of the questions was, did you enjoy the optics of seeing Justin Fields with Deshaun Watson? I was like, nah, not really.
I didn't know Tony could submit questions.
Right. Right. Totally. But listen, I got a chance. Shout out to Michael Allardyce. I'm higher up over at NBC. Gave me a chance to sit down and talk to Matt Nagy. He was at the American Century Championship on NBC golf tournament. Shout out to Matt
And
Nagy.
our own Ken Davis killed it.
Yes, I appreciate that. Shout out to Matt Nagy for going along with it. You know what I'm saying? You know the stick, and he got into the box and he did his due. But it was interesting.
Well, let's give you some props. Eric, he killed it with his analysis afterwards. The blunt questions, the right to the point, direct questions, obviously respectful, but just really good stuff, because that's an easy one. Hey, got the head coach for the first time. Let's give him a bunch of softballs and maybe a couple tough ones. It's like right away. Why do you hate running the football?
I mean, that one, of course, I was being facetious, but it's a question that fans have. So I wanted to be blunt. She knew I know he doesn't like. I mean, he knew that I was slightly joking with it, but also said that he gets where the market that he's playing in, and that he said he alluded to that we like defense and running, and we like offense too. We just
and we can't get an answer if you don't ask the question.
Right. Correct.
We can just assume, yeah, he loves it. How about put something on the record, Mr. Head Coach?
Yeah, so it was good for him to talk about, for instance, David Montgomery, his affinity for David Montgomery. I asked him, for instance, the amount of I told him, and I was generous with how many carries David Montgomery should get coming off the bus, depending on the situational football that was going on in the game, which he pointed out that point after I said it. That by
the way, how do you feel about the answer you got to that question?
I liked it. I thought it was honest, because if you're getting blown out, you're not going to run the ball as much. But also, it's time of possession. It's wearing the other team down. It's setting up the other team for other plays moving forward. There's just a lot of things that it's easy to get away from the run and think I can get back into this game using the pass, where you still need to run the ball. Even if you're down by 10, 14, depending on how much time is left, there's still times where you need to run the rock. You know what I'm saying? And just going into full-on 2-minute passing drills just necessarily isn't the way, especially when you haven't consistently won off of it. So, I mean, running is a fundamental to football. And this isn't even in an era where we're talking about Bill Walsh and the West Coast, where it's like, I don't have to necessarily hand it off to you. We can do these short dump passes and we could use those for runs. We're not even really in that. And not to say that some teams don't do that, but, depending on having those versatile running backs like Alvin Kamara and so on and so forth. But we're not really in that era. You need a guy that can get you 15 carries and can probably come home with about 80 yards a game at least. And when I say that, I mean that those guys pop for hundreds, but just to say, 15 carries, he's going to have 80-something yards, maybe 100 yards, 20 receiving yards, 30 receiving yards. That's the league that we live in, and the Bears have a running back that can do that. You have to feed him. I mean, I was not the David Montgomery full-on guy. Because one, that offensive line was so bad last year. But two, until shout out to the Tape Never Lies guys in Philadelphia. Philadelphia was the first person to be full on David Montgomery that I knew, and pointed out that, again, I mean, we knew the offensive line was bad, but just even how much worse the offensive line was last year. And when that line got together or played lesser talent, you saw David Montgomery rock out. I do believe David Montgomery can be a top 10 running back in the NFL. I mean, I know that what he had last year, he was a top 10 running back, but I meant nationally that people can sit there and see, that this. I said to me when he came into the league, I thought he was going to be a poor man Saquon Barkley. You look at the type of talent that Saquon Barkley is when he's healthy, that's nothing to poo-poo at. But I thought he answered it honestly. I was real happy with the fact. The funny thing was, I got to my last question. There was one more question. I was like, all I had was one anyway, right? It really went fast, and I got everything that I want to get in, basically. You know what I'm saying? So that was definitely cool. You had the situation. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, because we're very similar, even with like you brought up D on the interview to Matt Nagy. I think when we were doing the D and Davis show, you and I were more aligned as Matt Nagy guys. And
Mm-hmm.
I am like you, faith is really rocked. The foundation has been shaken to its core. How'd you feel about the answer that he gave in terms of asking him, how do you bring back the Matt Nagy supporters?
I'm happy that he was honest with knowing that he ran us off Matt Nagyville. The Nagyville. He ran us out of Nagyville. I said to him, that I've been on 670, sitting in, and there was a lot of times I'm fussing for you, and you proved me wrong, basically. I mean, that's just the truth. And I can't lie. I can't be here and be a person just because I want to be right, lie and be like, well, I was right, and clearly I'm not. The guy that I have faith in still hasn't proven in the pudding that he can get it done offensively. So I can't sit there and just be some blind Matt Nagy apologist. I can still point out that he can be a good CEO of a football team, but he's not here just to be a CEO. And if he was just going to be a CEO, he wouldn't have taken back play calling duties. So he's showing that, no, this is what I'm supposed to be good at. So if that's what you're supposed to be good at, sir, please get out there and show us that you are good at that. I thought he was honest with that when he answered as far as, I got to do what I need to do to get us back on the lot. Maybe he'll bring us back on the lot, Ryan. Maybe he won't, but we will see this upcoming season.
Yeah, I really hope so. And I liked also the question when it came to how do you get the offense going? Because I mean, special teams, maybe they're not the best, but we solved the kicker issue. We're not as concerned about special teams. And honestly, Ryan Pace can definitely draft guys that can play special teams, and especially when we're talking late round draft picks, and they've lived there. That's where the majority of their picks have been. The defense, we know maybe it's taking a step back, but there's still a lot of star power there. So it doesn't mean that it should just completely fall apart, even if, let's say, a guy like Eddie Goldman, who you asked him about, who he's expecting to show up at camp.
Did you see the sled? Did you see this? Did you see the sled video?
I did see the sled video.
Eddie's out there.
You better.
Eddie's out there.
We need him. But how'd you feel how he answered about the offense, talking about the depth and how it's on him to get that offense going?
He just stated facts. What could he do? I mean, the proof is right there. You've held this team back. You and Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles and Chase Daniels. And it's your turn. It's your opportunity now. You got the pieces that you desire. It's his opportunity to win and succeed. He never had a chance to pick a quarterback here, right? He never had a chance. And I don't know how with him or Juan Castillo or Ryan Pace, never a chance to pick his tackles here. As far as left tackle, So I mean, Bobby Massey was here when he got here.
Yep.
So he never had a chance, or say so, I should say. A say so. So when you're talking about setting that edge, and I'm talking about setting that edge with anger on the offensive line, I don't know. See, I don't know if that's something that Matt Nagy lusts for because he doesn't like to run the ball. I could also point out, I think he softened this line up by not running the ball enough and not committing to the run, to where offensive linemen can go out there and put their will on defenders rather than backing up always to run block. I mean, the pass block.
Firing out versus walking back.
Firing out. You want to go and hit somebody. You don't always want to be protective. You know what I'm saying? You want to go out. You want to be aggressive at times. You know what I'm saying? Instead of reactionary. So I can put some of that on him, and maybe he knows that, they need some nasty on the line, but it's on him. I mean, the part of the ball that's held them back is on Matt Nagy. And it was the kicking, as you mentioned, and now the kicking seemingly has been solved. Outside of that has been on him. And even when you look at the kicking debacle that they did, going back and forth and doing all that, was silly, and making it out to seem like that was just the worst thing ever. I mean, the most important thing, where that wasn't the only issue. It was a big issue, but you can't even let those guys really get set when you're playing this type of game with them or whatever. But it is what it is. I thought he was being honest.
Well, I love the interview. I thought you did a great job with it. Terrific job. Anybody that hasn't heard it, you better check it out. It's 20 minutes of pure Matt Nagy, I believe. And like you said, fast questions, fast answers, but both of you I love the questions and context you added to the questions, and I loved how Matt Nagy answered things. Wasn't just trying to give you John Foxyism.
Yeah, and I mean he basically answered the baby goat question when I said that, I've come up with a few coined phrases. He didn't say baby goat, but he basically said Patrick Mahomes was an outlier, to say the least.
That was my highlight of the question. Coining the term baby goat. That needs to be out on a lot of podcasts across America, because you're right. I don't like this Madden stealing it. I don't see an EA check sliding under that door right now.
It's not. You would have gotten your cut. So it's not. I mean, it's happened before. It's just like since you've seen me come up with baby goat years back for Patrick Mahomes, that proves proof when I say that's not the only phrase I've coined throughout my lifetime. There's been several. If I say this right after, she's gonna be like, yeah. Right, like if I go to my friends for 25 years, they'd be like, yeah, some nobody was really saying that until he was saying that. Something like I put some phrases out there in my life. So
that might be a podcast episode right there.
I don't even remember.
Coin terms. Well, we got to bring on all the people that have been around the coining of the terms.
Back in '92,
right? Here's Halftime, then everybody else, then D, then me. We all come up with our coin term.
That would be dope. But listen, today came and went, and today was the deadline for signing players that got tagged with the franchise tag this offseason. There was only one player that signed an extension. It was an offensive lineman for, was it Washington football team? I can't remember, or Baltimore, or maybe no, it was for the Carolina Panthers, I think. Could be wrong regardless, because we really don't care. What we care about
is Sam Darnold, by the
way. We care about Allen Robinson not getting his bread. Came and went. We knew Allen Robinson wasn't going to get signed because we didn't hear any noise. And the last we've heard, the two sides weren't really talking, and they hadn't come to any type of agreement or even close to an agreement. So clearly it spelled out that A-Rob wasn't going to get his money that he rightfully deserves from his career in the NFL, but let alone what he's done as a Bears receiver with woeful quarterbacks. I've tweeted out that if and when he walks away from this team, I don't think they would hit him with a franchise tag him again with how much more money it would be. So that's the only hold up, is if they hit him again with the franchise tag. They're going to regret it. You don't see great receivers win Super Bowls, right? And I'm not even trying to diss him. He's not great. He's damn good. But you can see some damn good ones win some Super Bowls. And really what I mean by that is usually receivers that are maxed out, like, for instance, like Julio should have won, but Julio didn't win one. Antonio Brown finally won one as a lesser player than who he was. Randy Moss didn't win one. Terrell Owens didn't win one. Tim Brown didn't win one.
Honestly, it's been
Steve Smith Sr. didn't win one.
Jerry Rice is the last one to really be great and win one.
Basically. Depending on how Tyreek Hill,
Irvin.
Definitely, depending on how you rate someone like a Tyreek Hill. But again, when we're talking about the uber elite, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Usually
the receiver that can literally do anything on the football field as a receiver.
Usually they don't. But you could still have a damn good one, and he can damn near do majority of the stuff that the uber elite can do. I put Allen Robinson in that. I had somebody tweeted me like they should just let him walk and put all the money into the run game, and I didn't reply because it didn't seem like it was worth it to get into a discussion, because it's like,
have you seen the head coach?
What else are they going to put into the run game? They brought in Damian Williams. They have a bigger running back room. Instead of using a guy that's a punt returner, gadget guy, and Cordell Patterson as a running back, they got running backs in the running back room. They invested in offensive line. What else? How else are they going to invest in the run game? So it was kind of like, I'm not even about to.
And more money on the offensive line.
Right. But I mean, I'm not. But there's no money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and again, you spend money on Cody Whitehair. You're going to end up playing James Daniels. You're going to Tevin Jenkins is your left tackle. Sam Mustipher's your center for the time being. It's not saying that he won't be moving forward, just saying for the time being. But still, getting back to the Allen Robinson point, man, you're going to – I know that Ryan Pace may feel like it's easy for him to reshuffle the receiving room, all right, see Kevin White, all right. It's not as easy as you think. But you're going to miss having a guy like Allen Robinson that can lead that offense and not be someone that's flighty and be someone that's down to earth, because a lot of guys, regardless of being receivers or not, would have really put up a fuss over you not paying them with what they brought to the table and how little you helped them when it comes to the guy that's sitting under center. So this is a mistake. I understand that they got caught out there with how the cap shrunk from the pandemic last year. But still, there had to be some way to do something, even though I guess there's not, to get this man his money, because he's definitely earned it. You have a nice little tandem. If Darnell Mooney takes another step and Allen Robinson stays at the same as he's been, let alone he said that he was working on his red zone, his speed, and his conditioning. You got your receiver.
On top of it, if you have like 6 or 7 speedsters, you do want that one guy that's that alternate,
a catch radius guy,
right?
You want a catch radius guy. You have your catch radius guy, your route running guy,
the guy that can post up a small corner that maybe has a ton of speed, that can handle your speed receivers, but he can't handle the size of your big time wide receiver. And Cole Kmet's not ready to be that guy yet.
He's not. It's just it's not time. Allen Robinson is still young enough. I hope they come to some type of agreement, but as of right now, you can't say they will. And looking at, there may be greener pastures with the same amount or more money or slightly less money, but the pastures are greener with a brighter light and a better quarterback for him to really showcase his skill set like he hasn't been able to do with Jacksonville and with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's tough. I mean, I'll say this. If you're going to be looking for a skill position, wide receiver is one of the easiest ones to find in terms of talent. But Allen Robinson brings so much besides talent to the team with, like you mentioned, his professionalism, his work ethic, his just overall, he's like a Walter Payton Man of the Year type. That's going to be rough to lose because that's not easy to replace. You can maybe find a receiver with a similar physical talent, but it's going to be hard finding a guy with that mental edge.
I'll say this. It's not that easy to replace receivers because the hit rate is 20% on receivers in the first round re-signing with the teams that drafted them?
Well, I only say that because look at the giant receiver market we just had in free agency. And so many teams opted to go with the cheaper option of the draftees. You might still be able to get a guy that's on his second contract that's a good player, but the team doesn't want to spend the money on the wide receiver.
True, but my only issue would be, is that guy as dependable as Allen Robinson?
Yeah,
as far as availability.
Availability is definitely
and not dropping the ball. He's one of the he's in the top 3 of most contested
last year.
He's the top 3 of most contested passes in the league. So he's basically not open but open. He's not going to be easy to replace. I mean,
I agree.
He's not. So I get what you're saying, but he's not going to be easy to replace. I would like to see Allen Robinson hang around, but to that man, go get your money, and go do what's best for you at the end of the year. Whatever you feel is best for you, A-Rob.
Right. Good luck in Detroit.
Damn, you gonna hit him with Detroit? Damn. Oh man. All right, man.
Go on, get the money and run.
It's that time to go up for grabs with Ryan B. Ski. Ryan B. Ski, what you got for me?
I only got one, and we teased it a little bit earlier. Are you getting that 2004 bronze medal vibes from this iteration of the men's national basketball team, or is there hope for a dream team?
Bronze. It's so bronzy. It's more brawny than bronzy. Dude,
ooh.
It's not even a question that this team is in some trouble. I mean, listen, when I first saw the bigs, I was like, hold up. Bam, Draymond. Okay.
Right.
I get it. Kevin Love?
We got to get our one whites in there. Can't have an all black team.
Dude, whoa. Whoa. Is Cat playing for Puerto Rico? Like, where the hell, where's Karl Anthony Towns at? I think his mom may be Puerto Rican, but I think his daddy may not. Where's you telling me you can't get one of those bigs just to come down here real quick? One of these young kids to come and play on this team that's skilled up like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, when I look at that, it's like, damn, son. Like when I saw the bigs, and I thought
freaking Love.
They're gonna get muscled around. All right, they're gonna get played on the perimeter. I like Bam because his versatility, but I don't know if it's really come to fruition. It's not like I've been watching a ton of those games, even though Zach LaVine kind of went off the other day, being inserted into the starting lineup.
Kevin Love must be great behind the scenes. Must be just phenomenal behind the scenes. Must be the glue guy.
Dude, I mean, like, it's just so I just don't think this team, and again, I know it's about people who let themselves be available, but I still felt like there could have been some other moves.
Anyone better than Kevin Love, basically?
Dude, I'd rather have slow-mo off of Anderson off of the Grizzlies. They used to play at UCLA. They used to play for the Spurs. I'd rather have him than Kevin Love. It's just so many. Dude, I don't even know how hurt. Listen, put this how bad it is. I don't know how healthy Jaren Jackson Jr. is right now, but I'd rather have his ass.
Right. Didn't the Cavs have one of the highest odds for the first pick, and Kevin Love's like the third best player on that team? What are we talking about here?
Dude, that team, again, it's about who says they want to come. But
right,
man,
so they went through the top 50 of the NBA, and then only there's 12 guys on the team, only 11 said yes, and they had to go all the way down to 100 to get Kevin Love.
Right. That's just bad business. You know, like it's just nah, dude. Like you don't got the squad. Listen, who is gonna be Olympic Melo?
Right. What about Clint Capello? Is he American that we can bring him in?
No, he's not American. No, he's not. Sorry, we're gonna citizenize all these mugs. We're deputizing you. Get your ass into the damn
a quick Joe Biden. We need some American citizenship over here, real quick, on a couple guys.
Real quick.
I mean, come on. The Kevin Love thing drives me insane.
Wait. This is how desperate I am, right? You couldn't get Wendell Carter Jr.
How about Brooke Lopez? Wouldn't Brooke Lopez be better?
Not after the finals. He would. Listen, you may as well have sent Robin just to thug it up and beat on some people. Like, dude, are you serious? Like, are you serious with what y'all sent over there? It was questionable to say the least. I know AD was hurt, so he wasn't going to come out there and play, even though it would have been great.
He's got to play video games during the summer, so he's too busy.
It would have been great, but man, looking at that roster, especially and particularly the bigs, is bad. But to get to your question, the odds of them winning the gold medal, I would say, are at 55%. I'll give them 55%. You know, because they got a great coach.
From USA,
they are, but I mean, if you look at the talent that's on there, I would say it's about 55%. Listen, they better let Zach go off. You know what I'm saying? You better unleash Zach. You better unleash anybody that wants to go for theirs. You better let them go for theirs. Oh man, because
Zach could be the Olympic Melo.
He could. Listen, they need somebody with a big tukish if they're gonna have somebody that can bang in and out like what a Melo. I can't put my finger on a player that's like that right now, since the NBA is much more of a finesse game when it comes to its threes and perimeter players.
He don't have the ass, but Devin Booker reminds me of the scoring prowess of a Carmelo.
Or you know what? And I'm not saying he's not the scoring prowess of Carmelo, But even if you had like a Miles Bridges, you know what I'm saying? Like you need guys that can be big but aren't big but are athletic. You know what I'm saying?
How about a Julius Randle?
I thought about Julius Randle, to be honest with you. He definitely would have been someone that I would have probably had invited. But to be honest with you, I didn't have a team in front of me, so I didn't want to say his name in case just because they had let his ass on and I didn't know for sure if they had let his ass on or not. But I thought about Julius Randle. You know, it's sad that you don't have like your Tyson Chandlers that you can be like, just protect the rim. Right. Listen, okay, hold on. We couldn't get DeAndre Jordan to go play. Wait, we couldn't get, what's the kid's name? Allen, the kid that got traded away to the Cavs from the Nets when they did all that. You remember the kid?
Oh
with the
yeah,
flow
yeah.
We couldn't send that kid. Like I'm just like, dude, come on, like
Kevin freaking Love,
dog. We couldn't send Mobley, the kid just getting drafted from USC. I'm just saying, like, I don't care where these bigs came from, man, but like we could have done something that we could, like, and I hate to put all this on Kevin Love, but it's like you quitting when you got to that slot and was like, oh yeah, fuck it. Right? Like,
give me a White. I don't care.
I mean, I don't even want to put on being white as much as just, I mean, I'll let you say it. I mean, I thought they looked healthy. But listen, how is he going to play? I thought they were looking at it. I mean, one, definitely privilege plays a part, but I thought they were looking at it from kind of the versatile aspect, kind of what we're saying about Melo, but without the athleticism. So it was like, it'd be different if this was Kevin Love for 5 years ago.
Right.
Where you're talking
like his original Olympic run?
Yeah, like it'd be different if you were talking about that Kevin Love, but like this Kevin Love, like,
what versatility does he have? Getting up and out of a chair?
Yeah. That's a good one. Dude, we couldn't send old ass Paul Millsap. I'm just saying, like, come on. Dude, there were some guys, man. Listen, oh my goodness, man. Like, I'd never seen an Olympic team, and I thought about this yesterday. I'd never seen an Olympic team that was begging for Jimmy Butler so bad like this one. They need a culture. Jimmy. They need Jimmy so bad with them.
Right. Did Bam lose him on the Jungle Cruise? What happened? Where's Jimmy?
It's on you, Bam. I love that part of that. He's like, it's on you, Bam. Like Jimmy he said that on there. He took the whole commercial. It's on you, Bam. It's on me. Oh man.
How about getting The Rock there? I would rather have Dwayne The Rock Johnson than Kevin Love. Come on.
Dude, I'm trying to think because there's clearly some bigs that okay, that's how bad. This is how bad it's gonna get. We couldn't send Daniel Gafford. We couldn't send Red over there. We couldn't send Red over there, man. At least he'd be jumping on somebody's neck. I mean, we could. No, wait, hold up. I got one. We couldn't send Crazy Eyes. I know Crazy Eyes would have went after the finals. Bobby Portis would have had his bags packed, ready to go and knock somebody out.
They like, could use Bobby Portis.
Listen, Bobby, this is what I want you to do. As soon as the French players come out, you can steal on anybody you want to steal. any of them.
Especially Rudy. Especially
Tony Parker's somewhere near. Get him in. Like, I meant, like, dude, I hate saying this. I know it seems like we're going just drudging through the league, but there are players at this point in their career that can probably help you more than Kevin Love in an Olympic Games that they just threw that spot away.
I feel like he's missing a shoulder and a foot, and he's just coming in on the court somehow, just limping his way over. I got one hand.
But listen, we always appreciate it. We look forward to chatting up with you guys next week as we close out perhaps the finals and get closer into training camp. Start telling you what we're looking for with this upcoming.
We're going to do the old handoff from basketball to football.
Also, take a look around the league, the NFL, next coming month. Take a look around the league. Probably have some guests on. Get back to get some guests on as it just became. We had to make it more of ours. Back to get some guests on and talking some football because it's going to be an interesting football season. It definitely has been an interesting offseason.
Full fans, full stadiums again. It's
Right.
going to be. Oh, I'm dying for football again.
I'm dying for
I'm
it too.
ready.
So make sure you don't do anything stupid before you hear from us again. And again, we always appreciate